Sure. Sync. Yep.
Welcome back to Neon Static. I'm Eric. I'm joined by frequent contributor Jeff. Hey, Jeff, thanks for joining me.
Hey, Eric, thanks for having me back.
Yeah, of course. This is the game 3 of Jeff's tournament. Jeff, you hosted this tournament at Pandemonium Books and Games. When were we? April 20-something?
Yeah, April 20-something is as much as I can remember about it either. Yeah, this was... this was like still fairly early in the minute. Was this just up on the screen right in front of us? We forgot?
It was, yes. The 20th, I want to say. It was a Saturday, right? So.
Okay. Yeah, that sounds right. So we've got InfiniteNutshell on the right playing Sync, which is an ID. We don't see a ton of competitive play, and I think this Sync is a little bit unusual, though we don't have the exact deck list. From what I remember, it might be using Zato City Grid or Zato City Grid. And then we've got Holly repping APOC Hoshiko.
Yeah, not much to say about that. I guess if you've been watching the competitive scene close enough, I don't know exactly what Holly's spin on it is, if there's anything in particular. But Apocalypse is a problem.
Corps need to understand that it's coming and react to it intelligently by holding back resource. Like, basically, a lot of the game plan is about baiting out the Apocalypse and having the tools to recover from it quickly in hand. But good runner play involves then often kind of being very careful with the exchange here.
Okay, so we've had a lot of movement really quickly here. So I think Ice Hedge Fund, I want to say on InfiniteNutshell's aka Nuts side. That might be easier for quick reference. And some economy getting spun up on Holly's side.
Yeah, I think it was Dirty Laundry into Install Liberated, Click Liberated twice, and then that flips the ID ability for 2 extra credits. Nut installs and draws 2 cards with the Spin Doctor. Ices up the Spin Doctor for eventual remote play, and I'm guessing click 1 might have been a draw in there that we missed. So as the runner here, especially APOC, you're actually pretty happy to sit back. You're just trying to get your breakers into the bin, so and get economy cards out on the table. So we're seeing Liberated emptied out, the Fermenter installed, and we saw it looked like both a moshing and a paperclip in hand. I'm guessing that Holly is looking to get 1 or 2 more good moshing targets because there's not a lot of threat that the Corp is presenting here.
So this is Holly just inspecting what Sync is, and it's going to cost you an extra credit to remove a tag.
And that
Yep.
I was gonna say that ID ability, like, it's not been super popular. The other thing going for it is the 40-15. Though, like, the extra tag the extra credit can matter, especially if you kind of try and make it a real slog.
It technically has a flip side, but we can mostly ignore it, I think.
Yeah, for the most part, you can ignore it. Here we see Holly using moshing to get rid of both Black Orchestra and Paperclip, so that's a very nice moshing.
Drawing into an NK Ultra.
And drawing into an NK Ultra that they overdrew.
All 3 breakers in the bin breakers in the bin.
Yeah.
Turn 3.
I'm assuming this is... Oh, that's that's a predictive planogram. That's one of the NSG alt arts.
Oh wow!
I believe that was. Was that Worlds of last year? I should know. I was there, but I apparently don't remember anything.
I would have been pixel peeping to try and figure out what that was.
Yeah, that's it's an art of Hoshiko walking down the street, I believe, with some cyber NBN advertising happening. So we see not building up a remote. It's got 2 upgrades in it now, 2 ice protecting it. It's starting to become a bit of a real investment. And so there is a consideration here as the runner. Do you just APOC right now? You'll clear out a lot of board stuff. You're ahead economically. But I think Holly is choosing to go it a little bit slower and just say, oh, I can try and poke centrals a little bit here and see if I can get the corp to invest into this board state.
We see a ping.
Yeah. And we also see
Not a paper tripping. That's not.
We also saw a retribution off of the access there.
Oh, I found my first bug in my card lookup thing. It will not show me ping. I'm sorry, everybody.
It was only a matter of time.
Yeah.
I think the one that I built can't show me boomerang. It tries to show boomerang and boom at the same time, which I don't completely understand, but we'll live with it. Ping actually is a very nice sync ice because you're spending 2 credits and hopefully ending the run, and the runner then has to spend 3 credits in return. So it's maybe not quite as good as in Reality Plus, where it makes you the money back, so it's a free tag. But it's not useless either. Okay, we see another, thimble rig, another alt art here. So that's a bit of unusual card in sync, right? It doesn't, but it's actually really nice against Anarch because if they're trying to break Thimble Rig with Black Orchestra, you get to just walk them through a server, and for 2 credits, you can walk them through as much. You make them spend 3 times as many ice as you have installed because you just swap it down to the next position.
Right. Now we saw a Rashida Jahim trashed, and then. What is this ice?
That is a free-to-play F2P.
Oh, wow, okay.
I believe it's the name of the ice.
I'm going to turn 5 to 5, and then I'm going to pay 2 to break, give the runner 1 tag. Okay. And then add 1 installed runner.
And that ice doesn't need a breaker. If the runner is not tagged, they can just pay 4 credits. Though what Holly is actually doing is letting the first subroutine fire, and then paying, I think, just 2 to prevent the tag, trashing the boom. They're running archives. We are shuffling back 2 face downs into R&D, and I suspect that APOC is the next click here.
Yeah, this is definitely an APOC telltale.
And it's a little bit tricky for Jamie to figure out that that's what the plan is here, because this does look like a fairly innocent set of pokes. But if you sniff out that this is APOC, you probably just don't res the F2P there. Because having those 4 credits, we can see that Jamie is on 6 credits, or Nut is on 6 credits up there, and so that's going to, there's the APOC, and that's where it's difficult to recover if you've gone down to low credits. We see the runner is still on 10, and this is definitely a situation where you're pretty happy to be the runner here.
Yeah, the economy of these Hoshiko decks is, it's just really, really strong.
Yep, it's a big part of why Anarch has been taking up such a big part of the accelerated meta tests, is they just have the best economy available.
Yeah, I haven't played. Actually, I played my first Hoshiko last week since returning to the game, and I was shocked at how much money I had. It was truly staggering. What was this altar?
I think that is a Sure Gamble.
Sure Gamble, yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's a 5 in the upper left, and there's only so many of those in the game. It looks like Jamie Nut's turn after getting APOC was just clicking for 3 credits, which is definitely something you're not super happy to see.
DJ Fenris bringing a Steve down. Which is more or less the de facto choice, it seems like, for DJ, except for some niche cases.
There's really no other cases unless all of your paper clips have been removed from the game and you need to get through a single ping.
And that was showing a liberated accounts and a Sure Gamble, and took the Nut chose the liberated to be removed.
Yep, I think that makes sense. Sure Gamble, while it's more upfront, it's less total economy, even though it's kind of it's a difference in speed.
Yeah.
Um,
Better short term versus long term.
yep. So we're going to install, take a credit, and just discard a card. So that's probably saying this is a spin doctor.
It's interesting. You'd think that as Sync, a deck that you're ideally going to be tagging the runner a lot, that the liberated account would be less of a threat, that you might be able to trash it. More of a liability for the runner. So
Yeah, it's. I mean, the problem is you're not going to land a hard hitting news from this state because you're,
Right.
you know, you're at 9 credits to the runner's, 10 when they go and make the choice. And so if you give them the liberated, they just get to throw down the liberated and solve their economy problems for 2 or 3 more turns.
Yep.
Which is trickier.
Sure gamble or deuces. You can have a sure gamble or sure gamble.
Sure gamble.
After the
Deuce
spin
is
doctor
wild.
gets rezzed, yeah, deuce is wild, and probably another sure gamble maybe.
Yes.
Seeing a retribution again.
Yeah, I can hear the table talk and you can't, so that's helping me out.
That's good. Yeah, I mean this is rough for Nut. They really need ice here to make their board matter, and they just don't seem to be finding any. And even when they find ice, all the 3 breakers are accessible immediately. So this is a very commanding position for the runner.
Discard this.
But credits are starting to get close. It looks like maybe 17 to 13.
Turn,
Though of course,
sure gamble.
I mean this is the thing. APOC decks basically can just say, "I'm just going to gain a lot of money," and you have to come up with an answer for me. And if you're not expecting a lot of apocalypse, you maybe didn't pack a lot of answers that are helpful.
Yep. Kitties.
So we're
Stealing
seeing
a-
our first agenda steal. That's a quantum predictive model.
Yep. Okay.
All 3 spin doctors now removed from the game.
Yep, that's what you really like to see as an APOC deck before you've seen your second or third APOC. It just makes them going to be very impactful.
Thimble right back? Probably not.
I'm not worrying.
Yeah, this is.
Questioning about taking the thimble rig back or not.
Yeah, do you need the ice? And
It's not going to
probably
stop them.
like them. It's not. The thimble rig is one of your best ways, as I was saying earlier, to kind of leverage a credit advantage because it's immediately +1 on res, and then if you can get them to run through a multi-ice server, suddenly it becomes like a +6 or for 2 credits.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, I mean this is tough. It's runner is very clearly ahead here,
Hoshiko.
and it's hard for the corp to put the runner in tough spots. Looks like a boomerang, I believe. That's one of Cat Shen's.
In Holly's hand on the
Yeah.
card showing there. Yeah.
Oh no, is that pinhole threading actually?
It's probably pinhole.
Yeah, probably.
It looks like 1
So-
credit, so.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Ping is rezzed on the remote, so Holly takes a tag and is deciding about how they want to deal with this. Looks like they just bounce. They're going to clear the tag.
Aha, I can show ping.
Pinhole threading.
What was the fix?
I typed it right.
You like
Nah. That's always the best software errors.
I don't know what I did between user and keyboard and face, whatever.
Yeah. I'm not. Oh, okay. So we're doing a pinhole threading on
HQ.
called it. Cool.
HQ. Using the Steve trigger, getting back an Apocalypse instead of a Botulus. I'm a little surprised by
Wow.
that choice.
Yeah.
Access one.
And then just letting the QPM stand, which I think makes total sense because if the corp wants to spend their entire turn in tempo scoring out a quantum predictive model, you don't mind much as the runner. It does make the APOC return a little bit suspicious to me because like Holly can just run, and suddenly that looks much better.
So this was just a pinhole threading to reveal it, and Nut has just declined to flip it back down because why bother?
Yeah, just for
Yeah,
clarity,
okay.
the board state. Because it's an agenda, like it's fine. If it was like an asset and it's ambiguous that it was res, obviously that's less than ideal. But
Right.
um,
Couldn't quite tell what that was.
yeah, I could not quite either, but not an agenda clearly.
Yeah.
There was a Botulus in hand anyways. It turns out we're gonna mad dash the quantum
Ooh.
predictive model.
Trixie.
It's a lot of work to get 3 points, but we've got, Holly's gotten there. And just taking a credit because, she's still got the credit lead. And
19 credits on Holly's side.
Yeah.
Looks like 10 on Nut side.
I think 14. I think those little 4 yellow.
Those are singles.
Yeah. But looks like we're going to actually get pretty close. 18 credits now.
Yep.
Still very difficult to land a hard-hitting news, and it's in the range where the runner can just kind of tank it, clear 8, and go, like, just take a turn off. So the big thing here is probably you want to put something like a Rashida in the remote and then play your hard-hitting news and ask the runner the hard question of which do you care about. Because Sync can play one tag punishment, I think, pretty reasonably. But
I think we saw a Retribution earlier.
That's the hard question.
That might not be right, but I think that was mentioned at some point as an access, like Retribution, cool, and then it went back.
Trace 9? Okay. I will pay.
Right, so miss what's being paid for here.
Trace 9.
On the hard-hitting news. Okay.
Yeah. I guess that's an alt-art hard hitting.
Yep. I just looked away for a second and missed that it was played.
I just heard Trace 9.
That's another Worlds. That's from last Worlds. And looks like Holly's just going to install Liberated and click it 3 times. Recover very easily. Trace 9 is effectively a credit equivalent to clearing the 4 tags, though I think if you can afford the Corp, I would say try and bumping it up to Trace 10 or 11, because then the runner doesn't get a turn after if they're clearing the tags, or they're losing some credit efficiency.
Right.
But
Like the chances that I put something behind there that you need to run more than once are.
I think they're discussing here that maybe Holly forgot to mark some Botulus counters, but they've both agreed that it doesn't matter.
yeah. And just, I mean, this is just the APOC is a particular form of control runner, but this is exactly how control runner often plays out. Okay, and we do see the Zato grid in archives.
What is the alt art that Holly's just putting into a heap?
That's a 15 minutes. It's not. That's actually the official printing, believe it or not.
What? No, the one with the no. The one just underneath the pinhole threading. It's got a goose in a pool or something.
That's a dirty laundry, I believe.
Of course, okay. That's one of Dan's dirty laundry.
I'm not sure. Probably.
It was in one of those sets, I think. Okay, so that was
maybe it was one of the run together sets or something.
Yes, I believe so. So that was a 15-minute stolen.
Yep, this is one of the few agendas that the Corp can just shuffle back.
Which is probably not before you can win.
Which I think is what is happening now.
Yeah, because there's 2 QPMs in the Mad Dash there. So
yeah, this is an amazingly low agenda. Like the agenda density in R&D must be enormous right now.
yeah. For a bunch of singles, yeah.
Yeah, because there's been so many singles on HQ that have turned up nothing. Okay, so we're seeing the dirty laundry on HQ into a resed funhouse. So this is funhouse is maybe the best ice for sync because you res it and you're I mean, in this case, you get to bounce so the dirty laundry doesn't fire, and that's exactly what Holly's going to do. Is say it's not worth taking the tag. I can go for an APOC on a later turn, but if Holly goes for an APOC, they need a Deuce's Wild so they can clear the tag that they take from the funhouse. Because otherwise they'll end their turn tagged.
But what's the worst that can happen there?
Something like a Market Forces is probably the big one I'd be worried about. Because that will swing it's a 6 credit swing. And if there ends up being a second funhouse or something, like suddenly that becomes a very big swing. Jamie could be running End of the Line, though I'd be a little surprised after spending influence on Zato Grid. I don't think you if you're running Kill, you're probably running very little.
So we think the Zato is probably just to give tags whenever, like on demand.
I assume that's what it is. And like letting you turn your pings into more value. Like you get to like res a ping, give them a tag, and then throw the ping at them.
Right.
So they're like they're really compressed.
I love the imagery of throwing whatever ice is at the runner. I'm having a little lag here. Sorry, folks. Oh boy, we're still here. We're working through it.
All right. Lag in recorded video is really something. Okay, so it looks like we're overclocking HQ.
My computer's hard drive gets accessed hard when my my virus suite scans.
It's still there. It's still there.
Just get rid of the virus suite scanner.
Yeah.
Just roll safe. Okay, so it was just an overclock HQ for value. Clearing the tag and ditching some extra cards. I believe Holly is at like 36 credits, maybe.
20,
oh, maybe just 26.
4, 5, 6, 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the blue's a 10.
The blue is a 10. For a second, I thought the blue was a 20, and I was like, "Oh man, this is
ridiculous.
This is."
I mean, it's pretty bad.
Like that is the kind of that is the kind of money that Anarch can print, which is pretty gross. This definitely is a turn where I think about APOCing, but I think Stargate is should be basically winning the game here. It's hard for me to imagine a world where we don't see Turnpike. 6 points of agendas or 5 points of agendas here. Turnpike's a really relevant ice. Sync makes it, Sync makes it probably worth it to break with MK Ultra, because it's basically four potential credits that you're giving up by not clicking for a credit. Okay, yep, we see Jamie playing as always a snare, then IP block, and then a unsmiling Sarina as the card below it.
As always a snare.
As always a snare. Looks like another sure gamble being played, and then probably clicking for a credit. Alright, so as Jamie, you probably want to ice up R&D a second time to make the Stargate a little more expensive to use. It looks like instead we're going to score a Beal. Just sitting in that singly iced unknown remote.
Access any cards that turn, so I should have flipped back. Okay, if that changes your play, then it does not.
Holly is now remembering to flip Hoshiko because Stargate doesn't access any cards, and so that does not actually trigger. Spending effectively 4. We're Stargating, Unsmiling Sarina, Pop-Up Window, and Orbital Superiority. Orbital Superiority will hit the bin. Do we have a second Mad Dash? It wouldn't make a difference, but because that's only going to take Holly to 5 points.
Right. 6. A Mad Dash would take Holly to 6, but not win the game.
Nope, because the 2 QPMs are 1, so Mad Dash would be 3, and then Orbital would be 4. Oh, the 6. Yeah, sorry, the last Mad Dash.
I think we're saying the same
thing. Yeah, I think so. With all Spin Doctors gone Holly doing the flex of I don't need to go and get this agenda. I can just get it later. It's better to click for 3 credits, and like it's definitely technically correct. I can think of very few Netrunner players who wouldn't just go and pick it up just in case there was like an attitude adjustment or something in the deck.
Okay, yeah.
Tag anyway. Access. Still there. Yep.
And there is in fact an attitude adjustment in hand.
And they said still there, so it's
You saw if you hadn't seen
it's still there. And I think actually the reason Holly's doing it this way is so that they can now Stargate.
take $2.
Okay.
Okay.
Wait. Seeing the attitude adjustment and not running archives is I would call it a commitment to the bit at this point.
yeah.
Is there some trigger that allowed an install on the corpse turn or on the runner's turn there, or did I just miss something? I don't know.
The ice in front of R&D.
Yeah.
Yep.
I also kind of missed it.
Yeah, or maybe Jamie just clicked for 2 and installed the ice and didn't feel like attitude adjusting away the orbital superiority, which, I mean, that's both players playing with fire.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it doesn't end the game, but...
Yeah, but all it takes is one bad Stargate, right? So,
yes.
But yeah.
Holly
Looking
getting
to
down
draw,
to the...
presumably for more credits.
Okay, go. I must draw this card.
Yeah, what's going on?
I think Holly's plan is just like I'm just gonna win by decking you out here, right? I can just APOC you. You don't actually have ice that can stop me. Your Zato City grids can only go in remotes, so you can't actually make me have to spend more than the 4 clicks I have. So you go for a play, I wipe your board, and we do this all over again.
Mm-hmm.
But also just the very reasonable play of, hey, I can just check everything that you install because you've now invested heavily in icing centrals, which means you don't have strong defenses on your remotes.
I think that's an
So I
IP
think
block.
running into, yeah, that is an IP block. There are Holly just showing that she has 3 paper clips in the bin, breaking the IP block, accessing a Keegan lane.
Yeah. Don't see Keegan terribly often, but it's a pretty neat card with ping, I think, specifically.
Yeah. Ping basically turns it into a rig shooter. Though in a meta that's going to be so heavily Anarch, it's a little bit suspicious. Though maybe Jamie is playing an Arc Lockdown. And we see the 15 minutes now scored by the corpse. So Jamie, they are now tied up at 3 points. Though I would much rather play the runner side here any day of the week.
The card is MKO. Okay.
Plenty
I
of
think
thin
Holly
pick.
just took 3 and passed.
This is meta. Nut pinging you for a time check.
Oh yeah, that must be what it was.
That's funny.
Yeah, these were 35-minute rounds, so players did have to move a little bit quickly here, and it is now, if you're not here, it is to your advantage to have the game keep going. Now, no longer the case, but because Holly is now up in points, but when you tie up the game to 3, you'd love it to be called on time here as the corp.
Was that the one out of archives? I was looking away.
Yeah, that was the one out of archives.
Yeah, okay.
So the attitude adjustment just sitting in hand. I'm not forgetting. Attitude adjustment can clear them from archives, right?
Let's review. Attitude adjustment. Draw 2 cards, reveal up to 2 agendas in HQ and or archives. Gain 2 credits for each agenda, and then shuffle those. Yeah, yep.
Not yet. Okay.
Would have been useful.
Yeah, I was like, it seems like it could have happened, but I think staving off the APOC is also a relevant thing for Nut to have done over the last couple of turns.
Right. It seems like that was the goal.
Yeah, and we haven't seen Stargate clicked since the double ice went down.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess if you don't defend R&D and you attitude adjustment that back in, you spend some money, but then it just happens again in a few turns.
Yeah. I think that's maybe the thinking that Jamie was doing. Holly just saying, you got to do something. You got to try and win the game. Like the runner. This is the nice state for the runner where you can just sit back and say, do something.
Right.
And it is difficult for not to really make a good move here.
Holly gonna run out of poker chips over there.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot more fives there, so
Yeah.
we have a ways to go.
Yeah.
It's like overclocking the remote. I think just saying, okay, this is how I want to get my paperclip in. We'll overwrite the botulus so that we match MU on the basically useless ping.
Overclock just like bad manners level of economy right now.
6-3.
We see the third quantum predictive model all ending up in the runner's score area. That's something you don't see every day. But does mean that Holly is, I would think, honestly, I think frustratingly for both players at only 6 points. Any 2-pointer would have won there, I believe.
Are there any 2-pointers in the list is the question. Oh,
I
yeah.
mean,
we've already seen
obviously
some.
orbital
Yeah.
spirit.
Okay. Nuts calling the game here. Having a Beal, orbital, Beal. Yeah. That's a lot of agendas in hand.
It was over a long time ago.
Yeah, and there's just no play for the corp there. Yeah, I think that game had been over for quite a while, but it is what it is.
Yeah, both players acknowledging that. Yeah.
Yeah, that APOC really threw off Nuts' tempo. So one of those things where it's like, oh yeah, if they had known before, maybe you look at slightly different lines.
Right. Well, that was game 3, and we have, I think 7 more games left in the queue for this tournament. So subscribe to the channel, and we're dropping these in a playlist over time. So if you are watching this in the future, you should be able to see the whole list played out there. And thank you, Jeff, for coming on and doing commentary with me. It's always a pleasure.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. See you all next time.